Hey, what's up, Giants fans? Welcome to another episode of Giants Talk. I'm Cole Kuiper here with Giants insider Alex Pavlovic. Big news, Alex and I got our guy. The MLB draft is complete. Giants drafted a gaucho in the first round in Jackson Flora. We're going to talk all about that, the MLB draft as a whole, including Alex sitting down with Michael Holmes, Giants amateur scouting director. Then we'll do our annual first half awards ceremony, breaking down what has been a very interesting first half of this year. And we'll get into a little bit of all-star game coverage before going into the break. Before we get started, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini's Sleep World. Mancini's is now the official sleep partner of the San Francisco Giants. You can save up to $1,200 on cooling mattresses at the Mancini's Sleep World 4th of July sale. Their cooling mattresses help regulate temperature, preventing overheating, and keeping you comfortable until morning. Stop by or visit online to see what's currently available. All right, Alex, MLB draft. I can't remember being this dialed in and excited about a draft in a long time. A lot of that having to do with Giants being so high in the draft order and the players available. But they did it. They got the guy that it didn't feel like the rumors had them interested in, but Jackson Flora, new official prospect of the Giants Talk podcast.
I believe your text came into me within 1 minute of the pick, which is like Saturday afternoon. I don't know what Major League Baseball is doing holding their draft on a Saturday.
Yes.
While games are going on, but that's for a different day. But yeah, it was, you and I have joked about this for months, and just because I am, I think, generally extremely unbiased in what I do, but I'm not going to hide my bias here. There's not a lot of professional athletes from UC Santa Barbara.
Right.
I spent a lot of my life there. I love that campus. I love that school. I know you do as well. So cool to see a guy who went there. I mean, we always pay attention to guys like Shane Bieber and other guys around the league who went there. So that's very cool. And then I also just think, and this is a conversation I had with a lot of Giants people in recent weeks, and they have very good poker faces because, we'd be talking about the draft and I'd say, there's a great fit from the fine University of UC Santa Barbara and very good poker faces. Nobody gave it away, but I would always kind of have this conversation in a way that I'd be like, look, I'd love if you had a gaucho at the top of your rotation. Cole would love it as well. And
Right.
I know, there's a fair amount of gauchos in the fan base. I think it's a campus that's pretty fairly split between Dodgers and Giants. But
hey, and that's an area of Central California I'd like them to start winning back from the Dodgers.
Important. Yeah. I'll just say, the thing I would always say too is like, but he actually is a perfect fit too. So it's not just the fact that he went to UC Santa Barbara. If he went to UCLA, I'd say the same thing. He is a perfect fit. And, I think they kept this one pretty close. Very clear that he was going to be the guy. If the top three went the way it did, they would have loved if Rock Chalowski dropped. I know they loved Von Lackey. I don't think anybody could have passed on someone like Grady Emerson if he dropped to 4, but they love Jackson Flora as well. And this is kind of how they figured the draft would go, and they kept it close. And there was a lot of Booth and Lombard and other rumors, a lot of talk about how they wanted to go after the hitters, and ultimately Jackson Flora leads a very pitcher heavy class.
Yeah, we're making a lot of the Santa Barbara connection, but let's not forget he's a Pleasanton kid. He's a Bay Area guy, went to the same high school as Brandon Crawford. He's an alumni of Foothill High School. So love to see a Giants fan get picked with such a high, potentially franchise altering pick. Going to be fascinating to see where this goes. We already mentioned the interview Jackson Flora did on Dallas Braden's podcast, but it's been great seeing him show off his Giants fandom, his Giants chops now that he's thrust a little bit more into the spotlight.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, I put on my Instagram page after the draft, Pavlovic NBCS, like go and pause this, go and watch that for a minute, because good comedic chops, I think.
Oh yeah, you guys are gonna have a field day with him.
Yeah, I saw some people like were a little confused by some of it, and I'm like, there's a lot of sarcasm in that 1 minute, and really trolling our friend Dallas. And yeah, the Monster Truck line is really good to come up with that podcast. So
Oh, just alley-ooped him, dunked right on him.
Yeah, go and watch that. Just seems like, and when he talked to us as a group, like seemed like someone who's very comfortable doing stuff like that. We've certainly had people come in and tell how nervous they are to do interviews. I mean, it was a Zoom call, but he seemed extremely comfortable with the whole thing. Seemed very poised, and just from a put all that aside, we'll get to the off-field stuff because that checks a lot of boxes, like you said. But this guy had a 1.06 ERA at UC Santa Barbara. He was far and away the best pitcher in the country. Just you look at this draft and you look at we're far and away the best pitcher in this draft. And so he really does fill a hole for the Giants. And the interesting thing about this, and I talked to Logan Webb about this before the draft and then again after they picked him, and he kind of pointed out something that I've been thinking about recently, which is you look at like a Paul Skeens Skeens is one of one, right? But like
Yes.
Skeens is up the next May. Burns in Cincinnati, he is up 11 months after the draft. Trey Savage last year, we were talking about him in the postseason. It's a year after he was drafted. Cade Anderson last year, taken 3rd overall. He's in Double A already. And the only reason he's not in Triple A is because they want to keep him in Double A because Triple A is a mess, like for pitchers. So he's knocking on the door of the big leagues a year after the draft. And that's become kind of the norm for these big guys. And Logan looked at a lot of Jackson Flora tape before the draft. He wanted to see who this guy would be. He told me, he made it clear to some higher ups, like, I think that's our guy. And he said he just looking at the mechanics is like you see somebody who is very similar to a lot of guys recently who have been able to move quickly and then reach the big leagues and just kind of, hit the ground running. This is like the best possible case scenario, but we talked about like Mizorowski and just you see these big, tall guys who throw hard and have good, clean mechanics. Those guys are moving quickly now. So that to me is also a really important part of this. And we have Michael Holmes coming up later, and he will say multiple times, you take the best player available. But I also think tiebreaker in this current situation, like Logan has 2.5 years left on his deal. This is a lineup that is built, it's not going to win this year, but these guys, most of them will be back next year. Most of them are signed for the year after that. So they have this core here. They're certainly not going to tear it all down. And this is someone who could be part of this as soon as, late next season in some respect. And really, I think should be part of this if all goes according to plan in 2028. So you never know with pitchers. You look at the Giants the last 10, 12 years. There's Tyler Beatty, there's Phil Bickford, Will Bednar, these first-round guys. A lot can happen, but a lot can happen also on the other side of this. And he could be someone who moves quickly. And for an organization that has a ton of hitting talent coming through the pipeline, he right away becomes their best pitching prospect pretty easily. And I think also is going to leapfrog a lot of these guys. We'll see if he pitches this year. I think some people in the organization would like to see him get out there and throw a little bit later this year, but early next year, he's going to leapfrog a lot of guys on the pitching depth chart. And I think pretty quickly be an option if he hits the ground running like he's capable of.
I'm excited to start tracking that. And I'd love to run through with you a little bit about what fans and even the big league team can start to expect from Jackson Flora's pitch mix. I mean, I know he's no Bryce Eldridge, but he is a really tall dude. He's what, 6'5"?
6'5".
He's 6'5". He throws heat. What are we expecting?
He throws 100. He hit 100 for the first time a year ago in summer ball. So it's not, I don't know that he's going to be one of those guys who's sitting 100 like what we see some guys do right now. But even hitting 100 as a starting pitcher, the only Giants starters who have done that in the StatCast era, the last 12 years or so, is Jordan Hicks and Carlos Rodon. So that in alone separates him from most Giants we've seen in the last 2 years. We've seen a lot of sinker ballers. We have not seen this type. So he also said when he talked to us, his slider, a hard slider, is his favorite pitch. And then he has a kick change, which is something that's worked well for Hayden Birdsong, worked well for Kyle Harrison. That was something that worked really well for him this year. So, look, he's all these guys, even Chalowski, like all these guys, it's going to take some time. This is not like the NBA draft where you pop them in there and you're like, you're my shooting guard, let's go. But just in terms of pitch mix, in terms of what he showed this year, in terms of like physical tools, mechanics, he does look like someone who is ready to, get into professional baseball and get going.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Beside myself, I texted you. I had so many, celebratory messages to send out to all my buddies as soon as it happened, even the ones who don't follow baseball. So
I was getting texts from people in baseball saying congratulations, and I was like, I've never met the kid. I just root for Gauchos. So
yeah, I know my dad ended up going and being in the war room for the first pick, and I was like, did you do this? Did you whisper in everyone's ear that this was your guy?
Good job, Dwayne.
Yeah.
No, this was their guy. I think this was someone, and I think they saw kind of what everyone saw on the outside, that this makes a ton of sense. And, there were certain other, like if it's him versus Lackey, I'm not sure which way they go. I they love Lackey. Chalowski, obviously, if he drops to 4, that's a whole different conversation.
Yes.
But in terms of what they expected to be left, and in terms of what was there at 4, this made all the sense in the world.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to more picks the Giants made. Coming on right behind Jackson Flora.
Wait, you missed 2 things on this kid. Important.
Let's hear it.
One, did you know, I didn't realize this before the draft, he keeps a running list of best fried chicken sandwiches he's ever had.
This guy is like you invented him in a laboratory.
Truly.
That is incredible. So we're going to get the food content you and I are both always here for. We're going to get alumnus of our favorite school, UC Santa Barbara. We're going to get a local kid. He throws heat. He's a literal giant playing for the Giants. What else could we want?
Yeah, the chicken sandwich thing, that's like, if I heard that, this is why I can't ever be in a front office. Among other reasons, I'd just be like, sold. Yes. So you rank your chicken sandwiches? Done.
Right.
How much pool money do you want? Let's go.
I'm excited to have him on this podcast just to discuss chicken sandwiches.
Yeah. The other thing, he obviously said this was a dream come true. His first Little League team in the East Bay he played for was the Giants. He went to playoff games. He would watch the World Series games on the couch with his dad. And then he kind of listed some guys who grew up idolizing. It's the usual: Lincecum, Baumgartner, Kane, Crawford, dropped the Vogel song on us, and then said he loved watching Jeff Samardzija, which I thought was like, a good sign. Someone who did not shy away during the down years. He was watching Jeff Samardzija as well. So definitely a, tried and true Giants fan.
I love that. He's here for it. He has receipts basically showing he was a true Giants fan.
Just like, it's pretty rare. I mean, Logan's a Northern California kid. He was an A's fan growing up.
Yes.
So this is like someone who really, this is pretty rare that you get someone who really grew up like a hardcore Giants fan.
And how crazy is it that the last guy I can think of that fits this archetype also from Foothill High School?
Yeah.
We have that picture of Brandon Crawford as a kid at Candleston Park, and now we have like emotionally his successor.
Yeah, Flora family. Do you have a photo with ice cream on your shirt?
Yes. Flip down the pictures of young Jackson at Oracle Park. I want to see it.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk picks beyond Jackson Flora. The pitcher theme continued, despite Flora being one of the only pitchers taken early. I think he was the first in the top 20. But the Giants had a very pitcher-heavy draft, going with 2 high school pitchers with their second first-round pick. What was that one called again?
We'll call it the Patrick Bailey pick.
The Patrick Bailey pick. And then their second-round pick in Carson Bowman and Caden Wachner.
Wechter, I think.
Wechter?
I think that's how it's pronounced.
Okay, I'll take that.
2 pitchers. 7 of their first 9 picks were pitchers. 12 pitchers overall. So definitely a theme there. Which again, like you can make the argument that their top 5 or 6 prospects going into the draft were position players. So they needed this desperately. And some of these guys, the high school guys, obviously it takes a while, but they just needed to get some pitching talent into their system and start developing some of these guys. So this was very important, I think. I'm not going to pretend like I've seen either one of these guys or know nearly as much as, I don't know if you noticed, a lot of people on social media became draft experts over the last 48 hours. And
man, doesn't that happen as soon as anything happened? I had a lot of friends over the past month all of a sudden think they knew exactly how to fix soccer.
Yeah.
It's like you've seen like half a game.
My expertise, I'm going to give them an A+ because they took a UCSB guy. But other than that, I think we have to step back and go, we will see. We'll see with all these guys. Remember, it was like 4 years ago, the Giants took 1 million pitchers, and not a lot of them are here.
No, but if they're looking for interesting storylines and things for fans to get excited about, there's a lot beyond Jackson Flora. Shout out Peyton Bonds.
Yeah.
Drafted by the Giants. Barry Bonds' nephew. Anytime you can get a Bonds back into the organization, you got to do that.
That was important. I will just going back to the pitchers. I do think the consensus is that this is, especially Bowman, who's the Patrick Bailey pick. Good upside there. Good pick there. Just hearing from some scouts yesterday, felt good about that one. I know the Giants were thrilled with that one as well, and felt like, all the pitchers they got early in this draft, they were happy with. And then, their first position player is a Bonds. So it really, from a PR standpoint, impressive draft. Because even if you take the UCSB angle out of this, which everybody except for you and I will do, it's the best pitcher available, and he's a local kid. So then you add a Bonds to this as well. You add a bunch of other pitching talent to this. Bowman I found intriguing because Michael Holmes said he was a really good hitter in high school, and reminded me of a long time ago, Dick Tidrow drafting Madison Bumgarner in part because of how competitive he was at the plate, and he loved that. So we'll see what happens there. That popped in my head. But yeah, Bonds, 6 homers last year, but the raw power is, really impressive. If you actually go and watch some of, and there's not a lot, but you watch him take BP, just looks a little Aaron Judgy. He's huge, just a massive baseball player. Looks like a tight end. Not your prototypical outfielder. So we'll see where this goes, but they've done a pretty good job with Dakota Jordan, who had some red flags at the plate in college, and here's a guy where, again, it seems like there's a lot more production in there if they can find it, and they feel like they can. So other than the Bonds angle, which didn't matter to them, it's a nice little side note here. I think the bigger angle here is they drafted his teammate last year, Trevor Cohen, so they got a good look at Bonds as well. But just from a physical standpoint, you go and watch him take batting practice, and you're like, man, you can see where this works. You can also understand in baseball, we see a lot of these guys, and a lot of them don't ever make it because they don't make enough contact or consistent enough contact, or they chase or whatever it is. But really intriguing talent that they added there.
And just rounding up a couple other interesting ones, in addition to Barry Bonds' nephew, Trot Nixon's son, and Matt Kemp's nephew.
Yes, we are old.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and how about this one? Maybe not that interesting on name alone, except to our title sponsors. Night Round, Mike Mancini. Shout out Mancini Sleep World.
Have you seen what he's famous for?
I am shocked by it. I didn't really remember that from when it happened live, but I went back and kind of looked to the chatter. Break it down for our listeners.
Well, this is bad podcasting, but he essentially smirked when he was in the Little League World Series as he
was shaking off his catcher and then just got blasted the next pitch.
Yeah, which is ended up becoming a pretty good second baseman, went to Vanderbilt, but he's internet famous. So I think the last two things you said, two things make me feel really old. Now there are people who I remember being memes as Little Leaguers getting drafted. And also I'm just not ready for, guys like Trot Nixon's son to be in the big leagues. I feel like he was in the big leagues himself 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of that. Jim Tomei's son got drafted. Matt Holliday's kids are everywhere, but I don't know when it's coming, but there's going to be the first, maybe Gregor Blanco's kid. I know Ryan.
Do you know who it is? It's next year. Stryker Pence, Hunter's nephew, is like one of the top guys.
Yeah, Stryker's incredible. He's might be the top guy. I'm not ready for these people. Those guys, Stryker, I didn't know him when he was here, but
that's fair.
The
kids you saw running around the field and chasing
the Gregor Jr. or the Grayson Belt or whoever it is, that is going to hit like a thunderbolt when one of those guys gets drafted.
Yeah, they missed out on Darren Baker. Hopefully, one of these guys can
Yeah.
come back around to the Giants. All right, I think that's as good a time as any to let our listeners hear from, I don't know, the mastermind behind this draft.
Yeah.
Michael Holmes is the amateur scouting director for the Giants. I believe he was a Farhan guy coming over from the A's, right?
He was, some rough years early. Hunter Bishop obviously didn't work out. Will Bednar got injured, but he's the 2020 draft. In retrospect, you look at it: Bailey, Schmidt, Larson, and then you look at the last few years, and Reggie Crawford got hurt, but Bryce Eldridge, followed by James Tibbs, who helps get him Rafael Devers, and we talk about him a lot, unfortunately, because he's going to be a Dodger at some point.
Probably we'll talk about him much more.
Yep. And then Gavin Keelan, who's doing a good job already in his futures game and is headed to Double-A. So they've had a nice little run here the last couple of years, and it seems like the consensus within the industry too. It seems like they did pretty well this time. So I think it's important to note too. I mean, everyone wants to say Farhan or Buster or whatever. The amateur draft process is Michael and his guys. For the most part, sometimes people get involved. Presidents get involved, things like that. I think there were some times where Farhan pushed things in a certain direction. But Michael Holmes and his guys work year-round on this, and this is their Super Bowl times 10. So, yeah, hear from him because he knows about these guys 1,000 times better than anybody else in the organization. All right, Michael Holmes, end of a long day. You always tell us you take the best player available. At number 4, why was Jackson Flora the best player on your board?
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Flora is a dynamic college right-hand pitcher. Size, athleticism, the way he moves on the mound, fastball velocity, the way the fastball plays in the zone, a variety of different secondary pitchers with the kick change, sweeper, slider, curveball. So just a dynamic athlete with big stuff, big time strike thrower that we've seen quite a bit of, and obviously a local kid in high school. So excited to be able to keep a kid in Pleasanton here in the Bay Area.
He had a really good year at UCSB this year. I know he was kind of came in as a reliever there. When you saw him in high school, or if you saw him in high school, how much have you been following this guy for years since he was local?
Yeah, we've been following since he arrived on campus at UCSB, but we knew about him in high school and scouted him there. Obviously, got to see UCSB a lot last year with Bremner and kind of tracking some of their position players. So he's a guy we got a lot of history with. We really like the way he's kind of developed through his 3 years in college, and just really excited about him.
I know there's a little bit up to Buster and Zach and Randy and Kyle, but we've seen these top college pitchers in recent years, Skeens and guys like that, just move very quickly through the minor leagues. Is he advanced enough that he could be someone who you think does that?
Yeah, I think he's very advanced. At what rate he's going to move, I'll leave that up to Randy and Kyle and Buster and Zach. But he's definitely capable of advancing. He's kind of further along in his development than some college pitchers. And, yeah, we're excited to see him out there on that field as soon as he's ready.
I saw you get some fresh air yesterday, and you said, well, we'll see if this goes the way I envisioned it. Is this the way you envisioned the draft going for you guys at the top?
I think so, yeah. I think so. You always have to be prepared for the unexpected, but this is kind of how we envisioned it would play out.
A lot was made in recent months, especially after the Bailey trade, of Rock and the possibility that he could be there at 4. Somebody else slides down. I'm in Los Angeles one day and see Brandon Crawford in the dugout there, and I'm like, okay, I know what you're doing in Los Angeles here. How much was that a factor the last few months as you were watching maybe what happened at number 1?
Yeah, I think we just do our due diligence on every player because you just never know how things are going to play out. So honestly, all the players that went at the top, even players that went behind us, we do our due diligence. We meet with them. We get to know them. We get to know them and their families. So yeah, just more us doing our work on all the players.
How does best player available match up with kind of the organizational needs? And it is a farm system right now that's loaded with position players, including a lot of guys that you drafted, but you were able to add a bunch of pitchers today. How did that all kind of come together?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think when you look at it that maybe it would be nice to add pitching and we fall on pitchers because they're best available, I think it's like a win-win for us.
When you look at some of the other guys and Giants fans get to know these guys you took after Jackson, what did you like about those individual players?
Well, I think with the 2 high school pitchers that we took, Bowman and Wechter, I think Giants fans are going to love the person, the makeup. Getting to know those players through the years, they're just high character individuals. They want to win. They're driven to be the best they can be. They're both super athletic kids. They're really good strike throwers with a really good mix. And we're teammates on the USA 18U team last year in Japan and got to become good friends. So I know they're both excited to kind of become Giants together.
It's not often someone gets to draft a Bonds. What did you like about Peyton, and why was he the pick in that spot?
Yeah, Peyton was the pick in that spot because we thought he was the best player. We had a chance to see quite a bit of him last year, being teammates with Cohen at Rutgers. And just watching his development from last year, he battled some injuries, so staying on the field at times, it was hard for him to get the at-bats he needed. But when he was on the field, just a dynamic athlete, kind of a power strength, run profile, hits the ball extremely hard, can play in the middle of the diamond, and just kind of think he's scratching the surface.
I'm watching some clips of him today after you pick him, and just from the right side, I mean, it looks a little bit like Aaron Judge physically and how hard he hits the ball. What can you say about the power he has? I know it didn't necessarily show up in games at Rutgers, but what you think is going to be there down the line for him power-wise?
Yeah, I think the ability to hit the ball hard is a good starting point, and maybe kind of some swing tinkering that can get him to elevate the ball a little bit more. I think there's going to be definitely power in his game.
I'll finish with this. I know you're here all week. You see Casey Schmidt during this game where you're drafting. He gets his 19th home run. Bryce Eldridge puts one in the water while you're here this week. You drafted these guys. What's it like to see some of them? And has either one of those, whether it's Bryce getting here this quickly or Casey having 19 homers before the All-Star break, has either one of those guys surprised you this year?
Nah, we believe in those kids. We believe in all the kids we bring into the system. We got a great player development group that help these guys get better. And how do I feel? I feel proud. I'm proud of them, but I'm also extremely happy for them because it's almost like a vision you see for them, and to see it kind of play out at the major league level and then they're achieve their dreams. It's fun to watch.
All right, Michael, very busy day. You have one to go. So thanks for taking the time.
All right. That was Alex with Michael Holmes. This kind of thing just fascinates me. There's nothing I love more than pictures and video clips from the war room during draft day.
Yeah, I wish we got more of them.
I know, right?
Yeah, I'd like to. And now we need to have Dwayne back on and let him know let us know what he heard in the war room. So
exactly. What was that like?
Yeah. How was the food?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Before we move on from draft talk, I would like to do a quick segment giving shout outs to some Bay Area players who were drafted. We have a big chunk of Northern California here that the Giants are covering at this point. So just in case anyone has friends, family who are Giants fans or listen to Giants talk, shout out to Conker's Ryder Helfrich, drafted by the D-backs at 15. De La Salle's Tyler Spangler, drafted by the Phillies at 36. I believe he was tied to the Giants for a little while, but they went with Bowman, who fell. Archbishop Middies, Jaron Avancula, drafted by the Angels at 45. Bear Harrison, Kyle Harrison's younger brother, drafted by the Yankees. Pleasanton's Oliver De La Torre, drafted by the Blue Jays, and Moraga's Hideki Prather, drafted by the Twins. So good kids coming out of the Bay.
If any of you listen to Giants talk, not zero chance you do. Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
You mentioned Tyler. The Giants hosted him, and they went and saw him work out a couple weeks ago. I think Buster went and saw him in person. So there was a lot of interest there. Ended up going to the Phillies. So we'll see how that one works for him. And then Bear Harrison, he's been around a lot because he was with Kyle.
Sure.
So great spot for him going to the Yankees.
Yeah. Would be fun if Kyle was still with the Red Sox and they could play up that kind of family dynamic.
Don't rub it in for Boston.
All right. Let's do a quick recap of Giants versus Rockies. Dare I say they're rivals at this point in the season. Giants, as there was a lot of discourse over who is truly the worst team in the National League West, I think the Giants made it clear that as they are bad, they are not quite yet Rockies bad.
They are very clearly the fourth team in the NL West. Those games were a little closer than I would have expected, given we're not used to Colorado playing good baseball at Oracle Park. Not that they play good baseball, but
it felt like they brought the Coors Field weirdness with them a little bit. Like, how do you start a game off with an inside the park?
Yeah. But also just really low scoring series. So it was a little weird.
Yeah. Quick rundown. Giants take 3 of the 4, avoiding or just missing the sweep because of what I guess at this point is just a scheduled bullpen blow up. 1 every 4 seems about right at this point. Caleb Killian fell apart on Friday in the 9th. So much for him being the go-to closer role.
He is doing the 2025 Ryan Walker, which is he has a 1.06 ERA in non-save situations and a 12 ERA in save situations. So I think it's been opened back up. We saw the last couple of days, Tony went back to his old ways of, do what you got to do to get to 27 outs. I'm curious to see where they go from here because Killian got his shot and lasted about a month. So Jackson Foley came back. He's been throwing well. He's a guy who certainly has a chance to earn that role at some point in the second half. I think I'd still like to see more of Keaton Wynn. I think he's capable of it. He gives up the homer to Pete Crow Armstrong, but turns out everybody gives up a homer to him lately. So he's been really. It's a really good player. It's possibly the runner up to Shohei in the MVP race, and then he comes back the next night and pitches on a third straight day for the first time, and he got hurt from that. So I'd like to see him get another shot at some point, just a clean shot at it, and maybe be a little bit more careful. But Caleb's been really, really good, other than a few blowups in the ninth inning. It's still a real success story for them, and he's still someone who can be really effective and part of this going forward. But for whatever reason, that ninth inning, sometimes it's really tough for him.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about how there's something in the psyche of a relief pitcher where you just have to be different to be a closer. You have to be kind of a psycho, kind of a sicko. That guy has not yet materialized. We have a lot of names in play. Maybe next year they can kind of find that guy, but as much as we hoped it would be Killian, I don't know that it is.
Yeah, and Dylan Smith has been good too. So he's someone who's maybe in that mix in the second half. But they're back where they were 6 weeks ago, trying to figure out who's getting the final 3 outs.
Yeah. Continuing a quick recap, we got home runs from Rafael Devers. We got home runs from Casey Schmidt. That gets them just shy of 20 each. 30 is in play, baby. 30 is a thing of the past.
They might
Child's play these days.
Yeah, I mean, the smartest thing we've said here was about 6 weeks ago, I think, when we said all these guys are going to get to their numbers. You just see it, and they're going to have like 94 losses. But these guys are going to get there. So, and I mean, some of them haven't had that many big hits. I think Devers has reasonably. Casey's been great the whole year, but the numbers, when you look down at the scorecard, the numbers look really solid. But hasn't led to a lot team wide.
3 guys on pace for 30 home runs in Schmidt, Devers, and Adames. But with Eldridge missing the first month plus of the season, we can pencil him in there as well. I don't remember if I officially put 3 guys hit 30 on my bold predictions. I probably didn't, considering how bad our predictions were this year. But there's at least that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it again, some of these guys have Devers really, for all the heat he took, he's been really good since that moment in Miami. So he's in really the last couple months, he's been one of the best hitters in baseball. So he has been who they expected. I think it's just been a weird first half for him in general. And I don't know that any of the big 3, no matter what it looks like at the end of the year, I think it's going to be hard to forget how rough it was in April and early May.
Yeah. Before we move on from the series, Alex, how was SpongeBob SquarePants Day at the ballpark? Because from the clips I saw and the social media being shared, it looked insane.
It was excellent.
Was it really? All right, that's good to hear.
One of the best promotions they've done in recent years. My son went. He had a good time. He got the hat. Really good hat. Just promotional giveaway. Literally everybody at the ballpark seemed like was wearing them today. So good hat. Our friends Anthony and Therese, good stuff on the scoreboard. I didn't have slime fries. I saw that afterwards. Nobody offered them. Tough. But the guy who voices Patrick did the player introductions. So
I saw that. Very cool.
Across the board. And SpongeBob, and we're not there yet with my son, but so I don't know all the guys per se, but SpongeBob and friends were there. SpongeBob and they were there.
Not the real ones.
Who knows? Who knows who's in those costumes or how many of them there are? But kids seem to be having a good time. So really well executed.
That's awesome. It looked like a lot of fun. All right. Before we get to first half awards and the All-Star game, let's give a shout out to our sponsor. Giants Talk is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Mancini Sleep World offers high-quality mattresses for ultimate comfort and support, so you wake up energized and refreshed every morning. Mancini's has been helping people sleep better for over 50 years. They've built a reputation for top-quality mattresses and exceptional customer service. Stop by or visit online to see what's currently available. Okay, much like our preseason bold predictions, I think our first half awards and end of season awards have been an ongoing feature of the Giants Talk podcast for years now. And we've put together a series. What are we at? Just like 9 categories, a dozen categories here.
One of those, there's some like that you get during the commercial. We'll have some of those and then some of the big ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, much like the Oscars. But we'll start with the layup of one. First category for our first half Giants Talk awards is the biggest storyline that everyone saw coming in the offseason, except somehow the Giants.
I think we have the same one, bad bullpen.
The bullpen that everyone said, hey, what are we going to do here? Hey, surely this is summer to improve. Hey, yeah, maybe Edwin Diaz is actually someone that should be at least pretend to be looked at.
I think everyone was like, this can't be the plan. And this was the plan.
This was the plan, and this plan planned exactly as it appeared it would.
It really did. So, we could throw this specific issue into a bunch of first half recaps. We'll just throw it right here.
Yeah.
First award, predictable. I think everyone saw this coming. It's honestly been worse than I could have imagined.
Do you remember that period in, I want to say it was late April, maybe early May, where it was like, well, silver lining, the bullpen's not as bad as we thought it might be. Nothing else is going right, but the bullpen's like hanging in there.
I wrote a story going into that Philly series about how the bullpen had been sneaky good. And like, you looked at the numbers and they were really effective at the time. It was one of those where I remember writing it and going like, this could blow up in a day. But you have to, it is what it is. Like,
it's a story.
They've been good at the time. You want to give them credit. Remember, there were a lot of quotes in there from people saying, we know what everyone said about us. And then they blow 2 saves in one day in Philadelphia? And it's just kind of been ongoing since then. So, look, it is what it is. I know those guys are working at it, but it's just hasn't been good. It's been an issue the whole year.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah. All right. Our next category here is the biggest storyline from the first half. I'll let you go first, Alex.
My biggest storyline for the Giants is that so much happened in the first half that like individual things. So Matt Chapman yells at Casey Schmidt to catch the bleeping ball.
It's the end of the world.
It's not even like a top 5 weirdest moment in the first half. Not even a top 5 most viral moment in the first half for the Giants.
It's all but forgotten.
It's not even the most notable moment where there was an on-field disagreement. Because that was Rafael Devers and Tony Vitello. And then Rafael Devers was overshadowed like 48 hours later at a press conference by the Pride stuff and Buster's reaction to that. So much has happened in this first half. It's unbelievable. You think back to like, Willie's base running mistake in Los Angeles. These little things that just happen on a night where ordinarily it'd be something maybe we've talked about on the podcast multiple times over the course of the next couple of weeks, and things get wiped off the page a day later. It's been unbelievably newsy and interesting in a lot of ways. First half, I cannot believe how much has happened over 3 months, aside from the losing baseball.
I'm gonna mine's kind of a play on that. So maybe I'll do a additional one as well. But specifically with how much has happened, how much of it has just shoved the Giants into the national spotlight. You didn't even mention the pelvic thrusting celebration that for a week or so was like, oh, now we got national reporters commenting on this, and the commissioner's got to step in. And then of course the Pride Day hats. We have We have the Vice President of the United States chiming in with his opinion. We have, I believe, the federal government said they were going to step in and investigate.
I think some calls were made. So
calls were made, dude. Like the Giants have just been, in addition to being bad, in the spotlight with a first-time manager at the helm to experience all of this.
You know, back in like Internet 2.0, whatever version we're at now is far beyond this, but you used to be able to track stuff better and be like, this many impressions, this many. I think now that who knows, like the internet, there's 80% bots and who knows what's actually going on.
Get internet theory.
Yeah. It's true. It's out there. Go look at my tweets. But you used to be able to have a better sense of like what actually you could track these things, and you'd see like the teams that got talked about the most and the players that got talked about the most. Decent chance the Giants were like in the most tweets or got the most tweet impressions or whatever you want to count in the first half of baseball, because some of these stories, like you mentioned the thrusting. I totally forgot about that when I was putting together my first half awards. That was everywhere. You'd wake up after one of those games and every single aggregation account, every single engagement account has some joke off of it. So,
or even the fact that they didn't thrust was then a story.
Yeah, this for me is by far the biggest storyline from the first half is how many stories there were.
Yes. And then I'm going to do like since mine was basically a riff on yours, I'll do like a B answer as well, which I guess is another how much weird stuff happened, but just how much the fan base have turned on maybe not this team as much as Buster Posey, who was once this icon who, seemed like he couldn't be touched, let alone be criticized. And just how this season's been handled and how the team has performed has really brought him back down to earth.
Good thing to know. We got a mailbag question, I think it was like 2 months ago, about what would it take for Buster to, I don't remember the exact question, but something to that effect of what would it take for Buster to be viewed negatively. And I think we're like, he has like a 98% approval rating. And,
it's almost impossible.
Yeah, it's not currently there. So it just shows you how wild this first half was.
Yes. All right. Our next question is obviously got to be included in any accolade collection for a sports podcast. Our first half MVP. I'm going to go ahead and go first and pick the Giants' obvious all-star, Luis Arias. Not only for what he's doing at the plate, but because he signed here to prove he could play defense. And talk about a bet on yourself, just showing up and silencing all the critics who I joked about this before on this podcast, but the way people were talking about him before he put on this Giants uniform and showed up on opening day sounded like he I don't know, couldn't even wear a glove, couldn't do anything. And he's out there looking fantastic.
People were talking about him like one of you and I were going to go play second base for the San Francisco Giants.
Exactly.
And it was over the top. And he has not only been good, he is like legitimately a Gold Glove candidate.
Yes. Which I think I've been burned by this before when we do predictions. I wanted to put Luis Arias wins a Gold Glove as a bold prediction and thought I'd be laughed at. Here we are.
Would have been good. And I keep kind of waiting for, you keep thinking like, well, everyone couldn't have been that wrong. Like all the people who saw him in San Diego and all the advanced metrics, it couldn't have been that wrong. Like there's got to be a week here where he just has a bad defensive week. Hasn't happened. He's been unbelievable the whole year. I think there's only two choices here. You took one. I'll give credit to the other guy, Casey Schmidt. He has been asked to do everything. He was asked to move to left field when Ramos got hurt, and then moved to second base when Arias got hurt, and then moved back to third base when Chapman got hurt. The throws he's making from basically the dugout are unbelievable. And 19 home runs for Casey. He legitimately had a very strong all-star case, and I think he should have been there, given that a lot of guys were replaced late in the process. And we have this conversation before the year of how many guys can get to 30, and well, Devers and Adames, they should get there. Maybe Bryce gets there. Maybe Elliot Ramos finds his all-star form. I don't think we ever talked about Casey. So it's been unbelievable. I think he has handled this incredibly well. And I'll go back to what I said. He was very publicly yelled at early in the year and put his head down and kept working. And
You said he's been asked to do a lot of stuff. He was asked to
Yeah.
catch the bleeping ball too.
he is doing a great job wherever he is.
And
So
he is.
I think that is Arias has been their best player. Arias is an unbelievable story. I think at the end of the year, when we look back and go, the biggest silver lining of 2026 for me is going to be the emergence of Casey Schmidt.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that, well, obviously we're talking a lot about the future. And it's great to see him, fairly young player, I don't know, hopefully he has space to blossom. And there's a spot for him on this team because he's been jerked around so much position wise, and he deserves to be able to just plop down and start showing off.
Yep. Had a great night.
Biggest disappointment from the first half, Alex. I'll let you field this one to begin.
Okay, I'm gonna say the coaching staff, and that includes the manager. And here's what I'll say: longtime listeners know I've always kind of pushed back when the entire fan base wants a coach to be fired, because I think it's not fair. These guys make like way less money than the lowest paid player on the roster. They're working 14 hours a day. They're there all the time. So this isn't about that. I don't think anyone should be fired. I think Tony, it's been a learning experience for him this year. That was what we expected. I do think it's fair to say that this is someone who Buster thought was Giants were telling free agents in the offseason that they thought Tony and his staff could be worth, 3-4 wins.
Yeah.
A team that has been around 81 the last few years. So they really thought there was going to be an impact. And I think Tony's been fine. I mean, there's been some mistakes. I don't think he's done a great job. I don't think he's done a horrible job. I think it's been just fine. But I also think we have to point out that if any other manager in recent Giants history had this type of season, where a team that seems to lack energy a lot, a team that fundamentally on the bases is bad a lot, a team that can't get a hit with runners in scoring position quite often, can't figure out the bullpen, that he was handed a bad break there, and everyone kind of knew it. But also I think there's been some bullpen stuff that I haven't thought was handled great either. I just think if you look at it, like if anybody else was managing this other than a first-year guy, there would be a lot of daily conversation about the manager and his coaches. So they do have to take a fair amount of responsibility for the record here, because it's a talented group. And Tony said it today. He doesn't really understand why they are where they are. I don't really either. Like you could have told me that not going to make the playoffs. Fine. I could never imagine they're battling the Rockies at the end of the first half for worst record in the National League, especially being this healthy. And yeah, I think not a lot of that. I mean, most of it goes on the players, but I do think we have to discuss too that this coaching staff has not gotten out of them what anyone expected.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I was so hyped on Tony Vitello bringing this energy he's known for to big league ball, getting snappy with umps, pissing people off. And we haven't been able to see a ton of that, maybe because of how the players are performing, maybe getting used to, like, I'm at the point where just seeing him get tossed like he did the other day gets me excited, because it's a glimpse of the Tony I was hoping to see all year long.
Yeah, we have to mention here too that they had to let go of a coach. Like,
great call.
In the first half.
So many storylines I've already forgotten.
So many storylines you forgot. They replaced Hector Borg a few weeks, not too far into the season. So I just think from that perspective, like, this is not what anyone expected. They thought they put together a really good coaching staff, and maybe it will grow into a really good coaching staff. And I do think, these guys all have the right to grow and learn from this first half and be back in it. We'll see if there's changes to any of this in the offseason, but it's certainly been a learning experience for Tony and for a lot of these guys who are doing this for the first time, but not what anyone could have expected.
Yeah. My biggest disappointment of the first half is there was a lot of talk about, Giants didn't make a lot of moves, and talk here on this podcast even. But Giants didn't make a lot of moves. But remember, this is their first full year with Rafael Devers. Consider that a move in itself. And we're sitting here watching Kyle Harrison get snubbed from the All-Star game, absolutely dealing, save a couple outings, one of which can be excused for playing in a AAA ballpark. As Devers, well, maybe flounders is a little too strong of a word because he has picked up the pace. He has been hitting home runs. He's up there with noted slugger Casey Schmidt. He's still not playing at the trade away your best young pitcher and top minor league prospect level.
Yeah. The Devers thing's gonna be weird at the end of the year because he could have 37 home runs and lead the league in doubles. And
it'd still be disappointing.
And it's hard to say, like, man, you were disappointing, but I do think you could look back at the start of this year and just go, like, this is similar to last year. Like, they needed these guys in July and they weren't there. And then everyone kind of showed up at the end of August when the season was over. Yeah. So they needed these guys in April and it wasn't there.
And I do not care about his incident at first base, that kind of thing. Like, sure, those are stories. They're going to take up space in everyone's brain. They're going to take up space in the airwaves. But just on performance alone, it's still been disappointing. Then again, every once in a while you see one of those monster shots, and it's like, hell yeah, dude, this is why you're on this team.
Yeah.
Best moment of the year is our next category. I'm trying to alternate back and forth, but I'm pretty sure you already took what is undoubtedly the best moment of the year. So I'm going to let you start us off so I can just kind of relive it as you speak.
You can take it too. Bryce Eldridge walk-off slam. That was
double it up then. I'm taking it.
Double it up.
Yes. Yeah. Bryce Eldridge, just his I don't want to say his welcome to San Francisco moment because this is coming after months of him wearing the Giants big league roster, but walk-off grand slam. It was fantastic.
Yeah. It was that's easy winner.
Easy winner. I'm going to throw in what I was going to say, which was the Giants shutting down the Dodgers. The first time they shut out the Dodgers in like 3 years. Shohei Ohtani on the mound, Patrick Bailey, 3-run home run. For how lopsided that rivalry has been, that one meant a lot to me.
Put this on the list. The Giants traded their 2-time Gold Glove winning catcher. That's on the list of things that
stories that are barely even mentioned.
Buried in this weird season.
How about this honorable mention for best moment? This is more like best viral moment, which I guess the thrusts probably good. But Daniel Susak's nephew getting tortured on live television.
That's a good one.
Do you remember that? Doesn't that feel like it was 20 years ago?
That is the equivalent of Mancini being in the big leagues. And it's,
Alex, you don't realize that kid got drafted by the Red Sox this year.
We'll see him in 15 years.
Yeah. All right. Next category, the most underrated person, coach, or thing. I'm going to start us off here. I'm very excited about my pick for this one. Most underrated thing, batting average as a stat. I am so excited to be back in a world where the Giants have above 300 batters. I've always said I'm a big, I don't know shade to sabermetrics, no shade to advanced metrics. Baseball's all about winning on the margins, getting that extra boost wherever you can. But having Luis Arias hitting in the 330s has been just a dream for me. And Jung-Hoo Lee, I know he's fallen a little bit, but he was getting way up there too into the 340s. I'm absolutely loving it.
That's a good one. Giants up there competing as a team to have the best batting average in baseball. I
guess honestly, Alex, Giants competing the best batting average as a team in their record probably says everything you need to know about why I'm wrong.
It does. It does. It's been interesting having batting average back.
Yes.
You chose this on a good day because I mentioned my family went to the game today and I went and sat with them for a while. And Elliott came up and I looked up and he was sitting 280. And I'm like, I didn't realize Elliott was sitting 280. But that's kind of just his whole team. So, yeah, that's a good one.
All right. Excellent. What do you got? Most underrated person, coach, or thing?
I think we have not talked enough, and we've talked a fair amount about it, I think, but people don't talk enough about how good this farm system's been this year.
Yes.
And they're winning at every level. Joshua and Luis Hernandez are, shooting up top 100 lists. Johnny Level, I hear every scout who sees the Giants farm system afterwards just wants to talk about Johnny. He's like one of the most underrated, I think, prospects in baseball. Like he has the other two guys with him, so no one talks about him. He's the third teenager, but he's a top 100 guy now as well. Gavin Keelan, Dakota Jordan headed to AA after the Futures game. Bo Davidson going to AAA after what he did in AA all year. So they've hit the ground running. All these guys, they've, for the most part, have lived up to expectations. It in the most recent Baseball America ranking was the 10th best farm system in baseball. Now you're throwing in a good draft to that as well, a number 4 pick, a number 29 pick. It's going to jump up. You're throwing in the trade deadline where we think they're going to be able to get some guys there. So I don't remember. I think my bold prediction at the start of the year was like they're a top 3 farm system, top 5.
Top 5 by end of season.
Okay. I think they're going to get there.
There we go. We hit one.
Yeah, they might. And it's really for everything else that's going on. A lot has bad, like mostly bad, as we've talked about. A lot has gone right in the farm system.
And if anything was going to go right, having the future be bright coming up with how bad everything else has been is like the best thing to be going right. And I'm sure keeping me and many Giants fans sane right now. So
it gives you hope.
It gives you hope.
I think you're going to see some of these ACO guys in San Jose in the second half. And that's, a nice thing to watch when
it's, the next year after is going to be good is a much better hope to have this time of year than Alex Dickerson's going to be MVP. Let's hang on and make a run.
Well, they've had mediocre years with bad farm systems. Yeah. So at least now they're having a bad year with a good farm system.
Exactly.
So there's a future here.
All right. Let's do a little self-ownage here on the podcast. The next category is the biggest Giants talk miss. We've whether it's predictions we've made, whether it's takes we've had. It's this year's been full of stories, full of surprises. We've had many a miss.
Hand up. I thought Ryan Walker would be fine this year. His problem last year was not in any of the innings other than the ninth. His problem was in the ninth inning. His problem was trying to close out games. He's been very, very good in every other inning except for that. He talked all spring. He seemed really confident about wanting to be the closer, wanting to be the guy. I didn't know if he'd be the closer. I still thought he'd be an effective reliever, and he just got sent back to AAA for the second time. So I was wrong about that. He had some good outings early on, but the last one was ugly. And I don't know what's next for him. But
I'm generally a defend the relievers guy in the sense that it's a hard job. You only remember the losses. Yeah. Fans are too harsh on them. I defend Santiago Casilla all the time, but for all the when are they going to cut Ryan Walker DMs I get, they don't feel as harsh as some of the other relievers that get criticized.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know if he would be able to do the closer job again. I thought he should be given that shot early in the year and see if he could do it. But I did think he could be effective for him somewhere, whether in the 6th or the 7th, and just hasn't been there. And he's coming in games the other day where he's trying to, just get him through the end of the game, and it's ugly. So that was a surprise to me.
My biggest Giants talk miss is we had long been touting that whether this year, whether next year, we'll say this year, Patrick Bailey was going to figure it out on offense, and with everything he brings to the table on defense, just become the future of the team. All you got to do is be average on offense, and all of a sudden you are a star. And basically the opposite happened. Patrick Bailey got so bad on offense that he had to be traded and basically operate in a platoon or backup situation with his new team. And the Giants were forced to move on from their Gold Glove winning, I don't want to say face of the team, but like guy who's out there. He does ads for local companies. He's all over the ballpark. It was a shocking move, especially for a guy who has been talked about so much.
Yeah. 616 OPS in Cleveland. So it's not good, but not pitcher hitting. It's
trending towards.
He's been much better in Cleveland. He's been much closer to average in Cleveland.
Yes. How about this one, Alex? Best Oracle Park improvement. Whether this is the fan experience, whether this is a mechanical or food addition.
I think they've done a nice job with the scoreboard now that they show the relief pitchers.
Now that we got everything we requested added to it.
I think we did that. I will admit it. I think we did it. This is an off the wall one, and this is one where you maybe, not too many people go to the ballpark see it because you have to have very good seats. But they turned the KNBR bunker into a little snack bar, and
I've walked past that. Yeah,
it's nice. So I walk past it every day. I think it's like they found a nice little. There's not a lot of footprint left in that ballpark, but and the new entrance to, I think everything they did capital improvement wise in the offseason has been really good. I don't know if you've walked behind the plate where they kind of put a huge TV there on the main level. The new stuff coming off of the street, on the street level behind the plate. I don't know what all this is called, but anyway, everything they've done from that perspective, rebuilding, remodeling, I think they did a really good job.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Fiesta Saturdays. I've said it before in this podcast. I love the vibe for these Saturday day games, bringing in Latin music, the fun jerseys, just the tweak. It's almost like an additional City Connect day with a more interesting flavor to it. Especially that first one of the year. It was one of my favorite ballpark experiences in a while. The crowd really got into it in that Yankees series.
It's a good one. I love when Irwin reads the lineups.
Yes.
It's such a good addition. So
yeah. Leaning into that was fantastic. I want more of that. Now let's take the flip side though. Let's do the what needs improvement at Oracle Park or the fan experience category.
Do you want to say it or should I?
I'm going to say it. I'm not even as passionate about it. I just wanted to swoop you since you've swooped me. The chicken strips.
They're small.
Come on, guys. Come on. This is one of the easiest things to make. I know you're not like deep frying them back there. Get bigger, beefier chickens. Let's go.
They're small.
They're so small.
Yeah, we've gone backwards. We thought we saw some improvement last year. We've gone backwards.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
And we hear, we do some research when the Giants go on the road, what to order at ballparks. And the amount of time it's chicken sandwich or chicken strips is, I don't know, close to half of the time.
I have failed in trying to get this fixed. Apparently, maybe Jackson Flora can do it.
That's true.
Right,
great call.
My needs improvement category. It was actually really cool the first night the Tarps Off came to Oracle Park, and it was so organic. And obviously, this swept the nation in a lot of different ways. Now they're urging it on the scoreboard. And have you seen this graphic?
Yeah, I have.
The Tarps Off graphic?
Yeah.
We don't need it. That's an organic movement. It's just a bunch of kids do it every time, and then sometimes it spreads around the whole ballpark. We don't need people to be urged into it. That's not how these movements work.
Don't tell the children to take their shirts off. Let them take their shirts off if they want to.
Yeah.
That's basically the thing whenever any brand gets involved, right? Is it's instantly becomes way less cool.
It was like the next time they had a graphic ready for it. And it's like, it was so cool when it was spreading around the ballpark and you see these old men all around the ballpark. Like, I'm going to join in on this.
Yes.
And then the next time there was a graphic. We don't need it. Put it in your trash folder. Don't need it.
Delete. All right. That's a good one. All right. Let's round out with one more. Let's end our first half awards on Giants Talk with the biggest question for the second half. We're All-Star break is here. We have not mathematically, but what feels like a full second half of baseball left. What are we asking?
My biggest question for them is going to be something that'll decide their future, and it's how much pitching can they get before, 3 p.m. Pacific on August 3rd.
Yeah.
It's the trade deadline. And in a Luis Arias trade, in a Robbie Ray trade, in whatever other trades that happen, how much upper level pitching can you get for an organization that we started this podcast with 20 minutes on Jackson Flora? Best case scenario, he's available at some point next year. Most likely, even in a good scenario, it's 2028. So who can you put in this organization that can compete with Landon Roop and Trevor McDonald and Carson Wisenhunt for rotation spots that can potentially fill out next year's bullpen? That work for next year's bullpen starts now. It's figuring out who can be part of that. And part of that is trading for guys. So that is my big question is they did a nice job with the draft of adding pitching. How much pitching can they add at the deadline?
Yeah. I'm going to take a similar one, which is basically how are they going to manage to spend the second half of the year cultivating the talent of the young players, whether that's getting creative with playing some of those veteran infielders in different places or giving them days off, whether that's sending guys to AAA to play every day. It seems like with the focus being on the future, I want to see how they will commit to making sure that future is bright for the talent they have, because you can draft all day, you can acquire all day, but if you can't cultivate those guys, if you can't make sure they get what it takes to become the studs, then what are we even doing here?
It's a good one. And I'll go back to what I said about, the coaches. And again, I don't want to be too hard on them. I think this is a learning experience for all of them, but you want to see some of these young guys get better in the second half, and you want to see more consistency out of some of these pitchers. You want to see some of these relievers figure it out. And yeah, can they get some of these, like a Daniel Suzak, for instance? He'll be back on Friday. Pretty rough for him the last few weeks he was here in the big leagues. Can they get him back on track? So
yeah,
I think you and I are hand in hand here. We're watching a lot more 2026 baseball, but we have, more than one eye on what does 27 and 28 look like, and who's, Carson Wisenhunt, great example. We've seen him twice. Would love to see him 10 more times. Exactly.
All right. That is our first half awards ceremony. Before we wrap up, quick All-Star game. I guess All-Star weekend is already in full swing. The draft was part of it. The futures game already happened. We got any major highlights from the futures game? No, the Giants sent Dakota Jordan.
Dakota hit a double. He's off to gets a little break, and then he's off to AA. Got the home run derby coming, and then All-Star game. Logan is almost certainly not going to pitch. Something weird would have to happen
that doesn't surprise me.
Him to pitch. So he will pitch Saturday in Seattle. Landon Roop will pitch Friday in Seattle, and those guys have both getting a little rest before they start the second half.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's going to be a fun one, despite the fact that Luis Arias is going to be the only playing Giants representative, and we've said our piece about the snubs we think who should be there. I'll still be watching. I love the home run derby. I love the All-Star game. I'll get together with my dad, watch it together. Do you have any All-Star traditions, or is this just like I have some time off? I'm dadding.
I have a pretty good run going of missing the All-Star game, whether being in Mexico or Tahoe or somewhere. But yeah, this year I will be watching, and I think the Derby they changed the rules back, right? So
they did.
We have a better Derby coming, I think.
This has to be Bryce Harper, right? At home.
Isn't Schwarber doing it too?
Yeah.
We'll see. There's always some rando, but I'm excited because I home run derby was one of my favorite things as a kid, and then they
botched it. They really ruined it. I know the slam dunk contest, they start to overcomplicate these things that are so at their core simple. So simple and so people pleasy. Go up there, hit some bombs. It's not hard.
I think we're headed back in the right direction.
Okay.
So
great.
We'll see how it plays out.
All right. Well, we'll circle back on the other side of that. Everyone listening, enjoy your All-Star break. The second half is ahead of us. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to Giants Talk wherever you listen to your podcast. Give us a rave review. Go buy Alex's book, buy Dusty Baker's book. And you know what? If you're feeling nostalgic, someone go root up some copies of the Daily Nexus, UCSB's student newspaper, to find all the sports articles written by Alex Pavlovic.
I might get fired if someone does that. So yeah. I don't know what I was writing in 19, but yeah, shout out the Daily Nexus.
Love the Daily Nexus. Do you know how many lectures I sat in and just read the Nexus instead of paying attention? Gosh.
That crossword was
very good.
Very helpful in pre internet everywhere days.